Hey there guys, this is Jason from Murideo, and today we're going to take a look at the 6G HDMI signal generator, and we're going to do a firmware update on it. First things first, before you do anything, go ahead and plug the Murideo into your laptop via USB, and go ahead and hook up the supplied power supply. We do not want the generator to lose battery power or to die on us during the firmware update. That could be very bad. So go ahead and get that plugged into USB, go ahead and get the power plugged in, and turn it on. The first thing we're going to do here is visit the Murideo website, murideo.com, and I'm going to go to the download section. And I'm going to scroll down until I see the 6G firmware, which is right here. Okay, a couple things to know. This particular video is only going to cover how to do the firmware update on any generators that are revision number 1 or version number 1. And you'll know this because when you turn on the generator and look in the upper right corner of the LCD screen, you'll see the revision number right there. So if your revision number starts with 2, there's a separate video that'll walk you through the firmware update. This particular video is for version 1 only. So the version of firmware that I have on my generator here with me today is version 1.5. So a couple things to take into consideration here. We're going to have to get the generator to 1.87 because that is the latest version for this 6G, but I'm only at 1.50. So I'm actually going to have to do this in 2 steps. First, I'm going to have to get the generator to 1.79, and then I'm going to have to step it up to 1.87. Now, if your generator already has something higher than 171, let's say your generator is 172 or 185, you can jump straight into 1.87. But if you're under 1.71, then you do have to go to 179, then to 187. So you might actually have to do this twice. If your unit is a 2. Anything unit, then you're going to want to go straight to 2.60. But again, there's a separate video for that because the process is a little bit different. So since I am version 1.5, I need to first get to 1.79. So I'm going to download step 1 right here. And I want that to open as soon as it's done downloading. Now, I like to do this. It helps me stay a little bit more organized. You don't have to do this necessarily, but I like to take this folder, Firmware Tools and Files, and I like to put it on my desktop. Okay, now that that's on the desktop, I'm going to go ahead and open up this folder. And the first thing I want to open up is ISPv 1.40. It's a very small piece of software. Once that opens up, I'm going to click Search Signal Generator. Because my generator was plugged into USB and powered up, I get a red light here, which means I'm connected and I've got a COM port, so I'm good to go here. The first step out of 3 here is going to be the main FPGA update. So go ahead and click on that. I want to go to that Firmware Files and Tools folder, which is on my desktop. Here it is right here. Open up Firmware Files. I want to open up Part 1, the FPGA update, and I want to double click on this bin file. Now what's going to happen is you're going to see a progress bar down here, and before we move on to the next step, this has to get to 100%. This might take 10 or 15 minutes, so we'll be right back. Okay, great. Now that we're at 100%, I'm going to go ahead and close this software. And I'm going to physically power the Murideo down by pressing and holding power. And then I'm going to power it back up. Same process. Press and hold power. And I do want to wait for it to boot up. Now that it's up, I'm going to double click on this ISPv 1.40 software one more time. Search Signal Generator. I've got a red light and a COM port, so I know I'm good. Now what's different this time is we're going to go to the second step, which is the main MCU firmware. So go ahead and click that. This warning just lets you know that you're about to update the main board, which is fine. Another piece of software opens up, Fly MCU. Now if it doesn't pop up automatically, which does happen sometimes, that's okay. You can open it manually. If you go to that Firmware Tools and Files folder, open up the Fly MCU folder, and there's a Fly MCU program right there. So you can open it manually if you need to. Now, a couple things to check here. We're on COM 11 still, which is good. That's where we need to be. I want to double click, or I'm sorry, I want to click on this box with the 3 dots in it to make sure that I'm loading the correct file. So if I look at the firmware tools and files folder, I look at part 2 MCU update, and it's this hex file right here. So double click on that. I've got the right COM port, I've got the right file. I want to make sure I'm clicked on this second tab here, STM ISP, and I'm going to click Start ISP. Now, just like last time, this progress bar needs to get to 100%. It won't take as long as the first one, but it will take a couple of minutes. We'll be right back. Okay, now that we're at 100%, the generator will reboot on its own. I do want to give it a quick power cycle. So I'm going to wait a few seconds, turn it off, and then go ahead and turn it back on, again, just by pressing and holding power. I can go ahead and close this. I'm going to go back, and I do want to reopen the ISPv 1.40. Now this time I'm going to click Search Signal Generator. I've got COM11 with a red light, so I know I'm communicating. This time I'm going to click the SG Data Flash button down here. And if I go to that Firmware Tools and Files folder, right here, we're going to go to Part 3, SG Data Flash. Here's the bin file. Double click on that. And then one more time, we're going to wait for this to get to 100%. Okay, now that we're at 100%, go ahead and power cycle the generator. And when it powers back up, go ahead and take a look in the upper right corner of the LCD screen on the generator, and we should be up to 1.79, which we are. So great. So now I'm going to close this software, and I'm going to close this window. We're going to go back to the Murideo website. This time we're going to go up to 1.87, and then we'll be fully up to date on this generator. Basically, the process is exactly the same as we did before. So I'm going to go ahead and download 187. Going to open it up. Now I don't need this firmware tools and files folder anymore. That was to get us to 1.79, which we're already at. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Now I'm going to take the 1.87 firmware folder, put it on my desktop. And we're going to do the process all over again. Firmware tools and files, ISPv 1.40. Search signal generator, COM11, red light, good to go. First step is main FPGA update. Firmware tools and files, part 1, FPGA. We're going to double click on this bin file. Again, just like last time, we have to get to 100%. Stand by. Okay, 100%. I'm going to power cycle the Murideo. Press and hold power. Off. Press and hold power one more time. Now it's back on. Going to let it reboot fully. Close this software, reopen it. Search signal generator, COM11, red light, good to go. This time we're going to do the main MCU firmware. That message just lets you know what you're about to do, no big deal. Click OK. Once this window opens up, make sure you're on COM11 still, which we are. We want to make sure we get the right file to load onto the generator. So we're going to go back to the desktop. 187 firmware folder, firmware tools and files, firmware files, part 2 MCU. And there's the hex file right there. So double click. Now we know we're in the right file. I want to click on the second tab, STM ISP. COM11, right file. We're on the right tab, so I can click Start ISP. Again, we're going to wait for this to get to 100%. We'll be right back. Okay, now that we're at 100%, the 6G is going to reboot. I'm going to look in the upper right-hand corner of the LCD screen, and sure enough, I'm at revision 1.87. So that's it, guys. That's how we get from 1.5 or anything 1. With a low number all the way up to 1.87. It is multiple steps. It does take about 20 to 30 minutes to get everything done. So make sure you save yourself some time. Feel free to reach out to our tech support department if you have any problems doing this. We're more than happy to help you through it. We can even log into your computer and see your screen and guide you right through it if you need to. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching.